Hello, and welcome to Ollie Chignell, one of New Zealand's finest distance runners. Thank you for joining us today.
No worries at all, Steve. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, I guess we need to talk about the 10,000 meter challenge, which is about to take place in Wellington. I know it's an event. I think it's an event that 12 months ago you competed in the same meet. Is that right? Where you made your debut over the distance?
Yeah, that was my first 10K first 10K on the track anyway. I had competed at that at the same event the year previous as well, but that was just in a pacemaking role. It's a really good event, and it's cool to finally make that step up to 10K on the track.
Yeah, and so this year, I mean, obviously looking at your results this year, you've had a phenomenal year, PBs in a range of distances, national cross-country champion. So how have things been since national cross for you?
Yeah, it's obviously been really difficult for a lot of people. I know that, last time I talked to you when we were in the previous lockdown, I was saying to you how much I enjoyed the last lockdown. This one's definitely been a bit tougher. We've been, it's just sort of in this limbo state of we don't really know what's going to happen next. It was a wee bit disappointing having, the end of the winter season cut off. But all I've been doing is just trying to stay on top of everything and, just train as hard as I possibly can, and the hope that, eventually there will be some races and will be some events that will pop up for us. So it's just kind of just fingers crossed at this moment in time.
Yeah, and so going in then, I mean, how would you assess your shape going into what is your second full 10,000 meter race of your career?
Yeah, obviously the winter was a brilliant winter for me. I managed to get a really strong base and get into some really good shape. I have had just a wee bit of trouble, which is sort of maybe just brought me down a little bit, but shape wise, obviously looking really good. I'd always like to be going into races knowing that I'm in good enough shape and that kind of thing. Yes, so I'm pretty happy with how things are tracking at the moment.
And obviously, you said you'd featured in the agency group festival of 10,000 meters in the past 2 years in a different form. So just tell me a little bit about the event and why it's such a special meet.
I think what the agency meet does, it's sort of taken a leaf out of the Night of Fives and other kind of European festivals where they'll really make a focus and emphasis on one event, which is obviously the 10,000 meters, and the aim is to just really try and get as many people there running PBs as possible. I think this year they've got a C, B, A race, and then they've got the elite race, so the agency race. And I think it's really great just to see that, they're going to be getting, I think it's just over 100 people. And, if they can get half of those people running PBs, then that's a huge effort. And something that I've only really seen sort of implemented and sort of continually done over the European season, which is they just have a much bigger pool and the ability to be able to do that. Obviously we're not having C races where people are winning it in 29 minutes flat. Don't really have enough athletes in New Zealand to do that, but yeah, it's just cool just to get as many people there as possible and competing well.
Yeah, so I'd love to know as well, Ollie. I mean, is there a big mental shift you need for running 10,000 meters on the track? I mean, you have been used to 5,000s, even the mile, 3,000. I mean, is it a big mental shift to step up to 25 laps on the track?
Yeah, I think the sort of preparation for it is quite important because even when you're doing 5Ks, even 3Ks, it is very, very easy to switch off. And when you're trying to go out and run as fast as possible, switching off and, running 2 seconds slower for a few can really, really just set you off. And the importance and the massive importance in the 10K is just running as consistently as you possibly can, just ticking off the same lap pace all the way through, and just maintaining that focus. I think as a distance runner, when you're preparing for that 10K, you're obviously going to be in a position where you're running quite a lot of mileage and that kind of thing. And so that just kind of gives you a wee bit of, without even having to get on the track and running a lot of laps, that just sort of gets your mind used to, just running longer. But it definitely is a big change compared to, the 5,000 meter.
And I mean, you do have an impressive range, particularly with that sub 4-minute mile you did last year, right up to the 10,000 meter. I mean, do you see 10,000 meters as your event?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that myself and my coach, Chris Pallone, we've definitely, that's something that we talked about even when I just started with him, that 10,000 meters was probably going to be my event, and possibly even longer. But I think just sort of nurturing my shift into the 10,000 meters and that kind of thing is quite good. And I'm still obviously really enjoying and excelling at the shorter distances. Like my best performance last season would have probably had to have been that sub 4-minute mile. And comparing that to, all of the great 5Ks and the 10K that I had, it just kind of shows me that sticking to these shorter distances for the meantime is actually very beneficial to me and my improvement.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the event reverting to a challenge from a fully fledged championship event?
I think the difficult thing, obviously, with certain, areas being in lockdowns and that kind of thing, it is very difficult. And it is, I think, last year with the national cross country, they had to, make that change to the cross country challenge because it wasn't a national championships. And I think just having, that sort of carried through, I think is a fair judgment. And, if people can't make it there, then it gives them the opportunity, hopefully when things open back up again, that they'll be able to compete at a national championships. However, I think, at some point, it does look like we might be things might be changing in the in the future, hopefully the near future. But I'd say that it's sort of something that's definitely, it's good that it's carried on. But we're probably just going to have to start, reverting to this as our new normal, and we can't, keep on taking every national championships off the table just because some regions can't get there.
And I guess the $64 million question, Ollie, is hopes and expectations in Wellington. What do you hope to achieve on the night?
Yes. So, well, I mean, obviously the event actually started off as it was titled as the National Championships, and so I was planning on going there, planning on running. I sort of put out my expectations that I was going to be running at the pace for the World Cross Country Championships qualifying time, which is 29:45. So sort of in an unofficial pacemaking role, because obviously my winning the national champs, national cross country champs, that gave me automatic selection. And so I thought that if I went there and I could sort of help out some other people try and make the team, then I thought that would be really great. Now with it not being a national championships, I can sort of put my role in a wee bit more solidified as a pacemaker because it's not a national championships. So my plan is, to go there and just help some people just run some fast times and, and reach their potential. And then, if I get to 8K and I'm feeling good, which I'm sort of anticipating that I will, because 29:45 pace shouldn't be too much of a stretch, then it would be nice to see what I can do over the final K, and and maybe just try and pull away and take the win. But that's a lot of it's going to come down to what Windy Wellington gives me, hands me the weather and that kind of thing. Last year was obviously pretty gusty, so it was pretty tough to run fast. So would just love to go there and help some people run fast, and then if I've got the ability and the willingness to keep on going, then keep on going and take the win.
Brilliant. Well, that's great. Well, thank you for sharing your time, Ollie, on the 10,000 meter challenge and your hopes and expectations for the event. And I hope it represents the start of another great season for you. Thank you.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully everything. Hopefully some events are going to be on sort of in the new year, and we'll be good to go.
Brilliant. Thank you.
No worries.